Guess who's back? Back again. Tony's back. Tell a friend it's time to talk about everything going on in cruising. Let's go. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. I am your host, Tony, here to talk about everything going on in cruising. And man, we got some wild stories today. First, let's talk about the cruiser that got charged with assault for defending his lady. The way the story goes is like this. We're talking about Virgin Voyages, the Resilient Lady, the altercation on the dance floor. There's usually no parking on the dance floor, but apparently there's no barefoot on the dance floor. This whole stupid story is because somebody was dancing barefoot on the dance floor. Some dude dancing barefoot on the dance floor is confronted by a woman who is unhappy that he is dancing barefoot on the dance floor. Hey man, we're all adults, put some shoes on. And well, the dude apparently told the woman that she could go forth and multiply by herself. But he used other language like cursey words, and well, she got offended. She felt disrespected, and she went over there all pouty, Jada Pinkett Smith style, and gave the look to her husband, Will Smith style in this analogy. And well, he got up and he went to smack Chris Rock in the face, but it wasn't Chris Rock, it was the barefoot dude. And instead of smacking, he choked the guy. And he said, "Keep my wife's name." I'm taking this, essentially what happened is the offended wife was defended by her husband, who went over and put hands on the barefoot guy and started to choke him. Allegedly, there is video evidence of this, and enough of evidence existed that the man was federally charged with assault with the hands around the neck. I got one hand in my pocket and the other one's choking you out for being barefoot. Shout out Ludacris. What a crazy story. Look, I understand defending the honor of your wife, but there's also a thing where, you really, the guy didn't, physically assault the wife. He basically, as she said, "Hey, put some shoes on," he just basically, in an unkind way said, "Mind your own business." And the guy took offense. I don't know. I shared this story with a couple other people and, yeah, you should get up and fight for your wife. And I'm like, I guess, I'm happy to defend my wife's honor, but at some point, you got to rein in just the same. Again, it goes back to this old thing that everybody feels entitled to say everything they want at any time. And it's not always appropriate. And sometimes when you mouth off, somebody's going to mouth off back to you. And I guess that's enough reason to fight. I got to assume that, maybe alcohol is involved here somewhere. But what do you think? Do you think the lady should have told the guy to put shoes on? Do you think the guy should not have cussed the lady out for telling him to put shoes on? Do you think the husband should have defended his honor, the wife's honor, with violence? So many things to unpack there, but hey, it's just another Tuesday night at a dance club on a cruise ship, am I right? So crazy. Story number 2, let's talk about the world's largest cruise terminal is now open. Like a flower in spring, open. And we're talking, who do you think has the world's largest cruise terminal? Do you think it's Carnival Cruise Line? Nah. Do you think it's Royal Caribbean? They've got the world's largest cruise ship. Surely they have the world's largest cruise ship. Nah. Norwegian Cruise Line. Maybe they have the world's largest cruise. Nope. We're talking about MSC, the privately owned company, the Mediterranean Shipping Company backed cruise line, MSC Cruises. They now have possession and ownership, and they're running the world's largest cruise terminal that can accommodate 36,000 passengers jeudi. Well, that's today. Per day, not today. Is jeudi today? It doesn't matter. It's not French time here. 36,000 cruise passengers per day, and it's right there in Port Miami. How about that? You can go to South Florida, and that's what we need in South Florida. Really, we need more people going to the cruise ship at one time. And now we can do it with this new cruise terminal. No, it's all good for cruising. Sometimes it's bad for cruisers when there's 8 cruise ships in Miami and the traffic's all backed up. But it's new and it's exciting. And this comes right on the precipice of the launch of the brand new MSC World America. That's going to be a huge new cruise ship that a lot of people will be getting on in a few days. But yeah, there you go. MSC opening the world's largest cruise terminal. It's like having the biggest peanut in Georgia. How about that? How about that? The next story is kind of interesting because there's a lot of things going on there. So, recently we've seen some government downsizing. We've seen some people get laid off here, there, and everywhere. Here, there, and everywhere. We shout out Ludacris. We've seen some government downsizing, and the cruise industry has not really been impacted by that too much. Well, that could be changing because the people that do the sanitation inspection on cruise ships that run the vessel sanitation program over at the CDC, well, they're saying that, they had to lay some people off and we may not have enough people to do cruise ship inspections. Now, they've not scrapped the VSP program. The inspection program is still in place, which is a voluntary program, which the cruise lines participate in, where random inspections are done on cruise ships and scores are posted for sanitation. But it might be a situation where they don't have any inspectors anymore. So that's interesting. That's interesting. I don't really know. What do you think? Do you think that because these cruise ships are inspected, it does keep sanitation in check on cruise lines? Or do you think generally if these inspections weren't in place, that cruise lines would be, as sanitary as they are now? Or do you think it's, it's a deterrent or one of those, impactful measures because there is the, possibility of a surprise inspection that cruise lines stay on their toes? I don't know. She drinks Moe. I got so many songs in my head today. It's crazy. Killer. So, the government downsizing may be impacting the cruise business in the form of inspectors not being available to inspect cruise ships. Now, before we go any further, I do have to make a public confession. And honestly, the sensitivity of this confession and the importance of this confession, I probably should have done this in private with my wife first, but while I was on this cruise, I kissed someone that was not my wife, and I probably should have told her about it. The fact is there's photographic evidence, and I wanted to be ahead of it, try to make the optics look good. I wanted to be in front of it before the picture leaked, and so I just want to share this with you. That's right. I kissed a ray and I liked it with its slimy, fishy fish lips. Stingray, but okay kiss. It was a female stingray, okay kiss, but Stingray never called me. Call me, and I'm sorry, Jenny B. I'm asking for forgiveness. But one person that I doubt would even care if I asked them a question were the people in front of me in the theater on the rock and roll show. Listen to this. So I was in the Carnival Paradise. I think it was like night 3. They had the big rock and roll show. And the interesting thing, and I don't know if this was pre-planned or not, but I was in the second row and there was a couple in the first row and they vaped during the whole show. They were vaping during the whole show. But interestingly, that show had a lot of like fog and smoke effects. So I feel like as the fog rolled across the stage, they'd rip a big vape right into the fog coming off the stage. Are these people vaping geniuses? Like, did they like the one time that we could vape in the theater is during the rock and roll show? Or do you think why would you sit on the front row and rip vapes? If you don't know, vapors, it's definitely different than smoking, but the rules on most cruise ships say that if you're going to do the vape, if you're going to rip a vape, you can only do that where, you can smoke. So that would be in the smoking only. So not the theater, not the front row of the theater. Fortunately for silent gas passers, you can do that. There's no rules against that. So you can rip those anywhere you want, but you can't rip a vape on. I guess you can. Should I have said something? Should I interrupted the show and went, they're vaping! And then they may have choked me out. That's a callback. Okay. I do have one more story. Carnival, will they start taking reservations for their entertainment? Because, man, there were some long lines on the Paradise. It's a conversation going on Carnival social media, and I think we do have an answer. But before we get there, I want to do two things. First, I'd quickly like to invite you to subscribe if you'd like to stand up to date with everything going on in cruising. Please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. And the second thing I want to do is a dance break. Get up. Get up, everybody. Let's dance. Let's dance. Dance break. There you go. Are you loose? Are you loose as a goose for this next story? So look, some people have been complaining that the lines on Carnival are too long when it comes to getting into the comedy show and when it comes to getting into the main theater show. And so these disgruntled cruisers have taken to Carnival social media suggesting two things. First, that there should be a reservation system for Carnival Cruise Line shows. And second, people with loyalty status, diamond, platinum, should have first dibs at the seats in the theater. Let's take those two things individually. Do I think Carnival should have a reservation system for their shows? No, I don't think that. I think it would be a disaster. It's hard to manage. I've seen people get in fights over these reservation systems. I think it's ridiculous, and Carnival said, no, we're not gonna have a reservation system. And number two, should people with priority get, first access to the seats? That's a more interesting question to me. Like, what do you really get with your loyalty on these cruise lines? You get some recognition. Honestly, the juice isn't always worth the squeeze. You spend tens of thousands of dollars to get a $4 or $5 free bottle of water, a $18 free bag of laundry after you've spent $50,000. You get a different colored card. You may get some priority embarkation, disembarkation. Again, I don't know that the juice is worth the squeeze. So what's some easy levers that the cruise lines could pull to make loyalty seem even more appealing? I like the fact that maybe 10 minutes before everybody else gets into the theater, if you can show that diamond status or that platinum status, you get first dibs at the seats. I like that. I like that a lot, but I don't know if everybody else does. What do you guys think? Should there be a reservation system for Carnival or any cruise line? And should people with loyalty status, the person who spent tens of thousands of dollars on cruises with a cruise company already, should they get first dibs at the seats opposed to the person that's just trying the cruise line for the first time? I almost feel like that is a place where loyalty would play out, but I'd love to hear what you think. Leave a comment below. Boom, that is the show. Wow, it's a Sunday. It's good to be back in the saddle again. I'm back. It's good to be back in the saddle again. Hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. Tony with La Lido Look. Until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.